Okay, you guys, so the topic for today was how are all of you managing deadlines, which is great because I'm sure all of you are managing them with different softwares in different ways. And I'm going to give you guys the ability to screen share. So if anybody wants to screen share today and show what they're doing, I think that'd be great. I actually want to record today and save it because so many people find out that their system isn't working and they don't know what to change it to. So by you guys sharing all the different ideas of what you're doing, it'll give other people ideas of what they could use. So deadlines, how do you manage deadlines? And then how do you manage those things that maybe emails that you're waiting for or paperwork that you've sent out that you're waiting for signatures on? How do you manage keeping track of those when it's outside of your normal system and process? Or maybe you have a special system and process for those.
We use a spreadsheet for our dates and deadlines. Like we have it to where when you enter, so from the contract, we put all the important dates and deadlines into a spreadsheet and it color coordinates them. So like if it changes it green, that means it's due today. If it changes it red, that means it's due in the future. And if when it turns white, it means we've already passed the deadline. And we have anywhere from 20 to 50 deals going on at one time, and it's all just in one spreadsheet. And that's how we do our dates and deadlines. But as far as all the document stuff, our TC just has a zero inbox where anything in her inbox is something she's waiting on. Like when I see an agent with like 10,000 emails, like I want to die. Like I don't know how they handle it. Because ours is like whatever's in our inbox is crucial and that's what we're handling. Everything else is filed away. So, but that's how we do it.
You know, it's funny because I always say there's 100 ways to do things, and managing your email is definitely one of those. Like all of us manage our email so different.
Yeah, well, and we had an agent just leave, and as soon as our agents leave the team, they get to forward their emails for so long, and then I go in and just take over that email and we either delete it or whatever. And I went into hers and she had 25,000 emails in her inbox and she had 2 folders on the side. And that was it. And I was like, good riddance. See you never.
Do you mind sharing your spreadsheet with us so we can see
Yeah.
kind of what it looks like?
Yeah, I'd love to. And it's kind of old school. And I know there's like a lot of different programs that people can use. So one that I use, let's see which screen I'm sharing. So for balancing commissions and stuff, I use CTE. So if you guys have ever heard of CTE, it is, I live and breathe CTE. It's my absolute favorite program that we have, but that is more on my P&L bookkeeping side. And then as far as our under contract sheet, all the agents have access to view this and only the admin can change it. But once a property goes under contract, we essentially just put who the agent is, the property, the person's name, when it went under contract, and then we really only track deadlines that it can terminate based on, unless we run into something that causes issues, and then we've added it to our spreadsheet. So essentially, if we hire a new admin, they can just hover over each of these and it tells them exactly what that deadline means. So if it's red, it just means it's upcoming and it does it all by itself. Like if I put in dates, it'll automatically do the colors for me. So let's see. Oops. So that see, like it'll automatically change the colors. So if I put in today's date, it makes it green. And those are just conditional formatting things that I did. But we just use this to track it. And once we have it and it's done, we put an X. And this is how our TC really tracks every single deal. And the agent can come in and make sure everything's right. And then if anything amends or changes, we just make a comment and we turn it blue so that they know it's something that changed. But this is just how I was taught. And since then I've tweaked it, but this is how we've always kept track of dates and deadlines. Like I hardly ever open the contract once this sheet is filled out.
And how many pending do you have right now?
Right now we have 25. So we have our buyers, and then as we scroll, so we keep our buyers and sellers separate. Most I've ever done at a time is 50, but we typically have anywhere between 20 and 30 at all times.
And so this has been super scalable for you?
Yep, and then once a property is done, I mean, we keep track of what gifts we're giving them, any notes that we need to know. I do my commissions off of here. And then once it closes, we just cut it and then paste it into our closed files. And then from here, the TC green means the file's done, blue is terminated, orange means we're still waiting on documents, and that's how she closes out everything. So we essentially never get rid of any of it. Like anytime something happens to a contract, we just cut it and put it on this sheet, and then forever and ever, if something weird happened with the appraisal or we put notes, this is where we go find it. But yeah.
What questions do you guys have for Leah? Comments, ahas?
I know, I'm like, I'm pretty positive there's programs out in the world that do this, but we're cheap. And so we use Google spreadsheets.
Looks great. It's very thorough. That's nice. Keeps everybody on track.
Yeah, and the agents like it, and the only problem with it is honestly human error. Like say our TC's working all kinds of stuff and she's copying the contract and putting the dates in here. I live and breathe by this spreadsheet, so if a date or the commission is wrong in this spreadsheet, then it's wrong. That has happened, but in general, it's not wrong. But that would be the only time we have issues. It's just human error, fat finger number, something like that.
And that is, that's a Google sheet? Or is that an Excel? Google sheet, okay.
Yeah, it's just
There's also a way for you to go ahead and, look back on who has contributed to through the history. So that would also help if there was a problem or someone messed up by accident.
Yeah, we love that edit history. We use that all the time. And that's when our agents got kicked out of having access to edit things. And now they can only view it.
I feel like that's a big problem on a lot of teams is the TCs on top of all the dates, deadlines, they know them. And there's not that transparency to the agent, right? So the agents feel out of the loop, even though things are being taken care of. But it's nice that they have that transparency. Okay, I know all of you have great systems and tools, so who wants to go next?
All right, I will. For managing deadlines, I have a few ways. With our program through Sisu, you can set tasks to alert you when they're due. So, first of all, every day I'll go through my tasks and I'll check on them so I know what's coming up or what's today. It'll alert me. So I do have a page that says like this is like a summary. This is what's due today. This is what's upcoming. This is what's due tomorrow. Or this is what's overdue. So I try to keep the overdue at 0 as best as I can. Sisu will also send an email of the deadline. So in the morning, I'll get an email that says this is the deadline today. As soon as something goes under contract, part of my process of the going through the files is making note of all the deadlines and putting them on the calendar, which Sarah also has access to. So we always have 2 people watching it, mainly me, but Sarah does glance from time to time to make sure everything's on track. I have a weekly meeting with Sarah where we go over everything that's upcoming so we can stay on top of it. And I also have weekly meetings with the agents so that I can fill them in on what I've done and what I need from them. So everybody's kind of in communication, just always on top of everything. And yeah, just little alerts here and there. I have notes that I do too, but like physical notes if I need to, but it's mainly the calendar and setting tasks and reminders that way.
So if I'm an agent on your team, Shannon, how do I know what date deadline is upcoming and how do I know whether it's been taken care of or not?
So they're copied on all emails that go to their clients or the co-broke. They're copied on all the emails. The first email that I send after someone's gone under contract is regarding it has a breakdown of all the deadlines. So they're copied on that. They can reference that. And then at our weekly check-in, I also discuss with them what's upcoming and what has already passed. But I also talk to them every day. It's not just I talk to them once a week. I'm always communicating with them, like financing deadlines coming up. Like I will tell them, lender says we're good, lender says we're not good. I'll let them know as things progress.
CSU, they'll get notified through CSU as well to their email, and then through it's really the updates to our clients. We have now incorporated a Word document that has the outline of all of the key dates and what's been done for the week, what actions we need from the client and what we're working on.
Awesome. So Shannon, do you have a place you can go? Like Aaliyah has one place she can go and see like everything at a glance, right? Do you have a place that you can go where you see everything at a glance, or do you just rely on the system to like tell you what's coming up that day or in the future?
Sisu, because it's different, it's separate files. So there is a page that breaks down everything, like it has your summary, like here's what's past due, here's what's due today, and it's all of the files together, like every single thing that's due today. I can look there in the calendar as well, since I have all of my tasks and all of my events and everything on the calendar. I can look there and I can scroll through quickly and see what's upcoming. And I do a little bit of color coding on the calendar as well. So if it's a deadline that we need to focus on, I'll make it yellow if we haven't done it yet, so that I know when I'm scrolling through, I can see the yellow deadlines coming up. I know what they are and I know the progress of them.
Do you mind showing us what your calendar looks like?
Oh boy. Rachel's.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say turn Rachel's off. 'Cause it
Um,
looks so-
Where am I? The screen. So this is for this week. I didn't have any deadlines for our clients.
Go back to like 2 weeks.
So we go back a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, like this one, our due diligence deadline, that was something I was responsible for. So I just keep it yellow so that I know I can watch out for it. I guess this is a bad week to go to because I didn't check these off, but I've been starting to add like check marks to the tasks once they're done. Yes, last week was a little bit of a mess, but once they're done, I add some check marks to them so that just at a glance I can see, okay, I've done that, I've taken care of that. Because I noticed I was starting to double check myself a lot. Because I would say, oh, I think I already scheduled that closing, but I'm not sure, so I go check it. But then I noticed if I put this little check, it's helpful for me to just quickly see I've already done that. I don't need to check on it myself. So
Pull up CSU.
Do those go into your calendar from Sisu or you manually put those in the calendar?
no, I manually put these in.
Oh, okay.
People will send emails, but it won't add to the calendar. What do you want?
You need to write Sisu and say, add to my calendar.
No.
Yeah.
In CSU, I'd say I live out of CSU more than the calendar, and there's a bunch of different reports and views you can see. So if you go to either the task manager.
Yeah.
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 Task manager is where you can see everything, and it'll also tell you if it's
Taking
in
it.
progress or like what the status of that task is. If you want to see everything, you can then further break it down into listings, pending buyers and pending sellers, but then you can also go into all of the files and look at one file at a time individually.
Cool.
And it allows you to put notes next to every single task
Mhm.
as you make progress and manually add tasks that might not be a part for, say, an addendum we didn't expect.
Yeah, and this is great. I was looking for an overview because like Shannon, let's say you're going on vacation, right? And you want to get as much done before you leave as possible so that Rachel doesn't have to do a ton while you're gone. It's like you need to be able to have some view where you can look forward, right? And see what's
Yeah.
coming up in order to be able to do that. So that was kind of in the back of my head as I asked that question, is how can you get that forward look so that if you ever need to be doing things more forward, you can.
Yeah, and I do use this page every single day. So basically when I start for the day, I'll look at this page and kind of just give myself an idea of what's coming up. Like what I'm gonna have to do today, what's coming up tomorrow, what I can get done. And then I'll individually go through each file and get done what I need to do. And then I'll just keep referencing this page throughout the day to make sure that I'm actually getting done what's supposed to be done and that my list is getting smaller and smaller throughout the day.
I think too, what I really like about CSU is that even if you're working on a task that say is Shannon's responsibility, but you either want to provide an update to multiple people on the team, whether it's myself and the agent, or you're running into trouble, you can click on the comment section and essentially do a shout out to whoever to be like, hey, I just resent this, but I'm getting no movement. You might want to follow up too. So it's all living in one platform, and the agent and myself would get that email so that we know Shannon's having trouble with communication with the lender or whatever might be happening, or we did finally get this back. We're all set so that we're not tracking her down and she's quickly moving through her day.
Yeah, and I use the note section too. I'll add little notes like for, just say for appraisals or something, I'll be like, reached out to the lender today about scheduling. Like, I just put little notes so that I can see everything at a glance. I don't have to go back through my email and say, did I already ask the lender about that or not? Is it scheduled? I can see with my notes. And Sarah can see too. If she's wondering, she can click on it and she can see that I've already emailed somebody and checked in on it. And it dates it too, so you can see when that happened.
So if I'm an agent and I have, let's say I have 5 transactions right now that you guys are working on for me, do I have access to something like this where I can see all my 5 transactions?
Yes. They have their own logins and views, so they can see as much or as little as they want. And right now it says little.
And Sarah, just to let you know too, that we are going to stick with Sisu, thanks to Paula. So I will be getting back in contact with you to see about, how to implement something like this as well. The other thing is that, are you guys using Follow Up Boss too, or is it just Sisu?
So our main database, which we do literally everything else out of, is Sierra Interactive, and then Sisu is where we manage all of our contracts. It's mainly those 2 platforms for us.
Because my question was going to follow up to ask if what you see here in Sisu of your tasks and such, does that also communicate with Sierra as we would want to happen in Follow Up Boss?
So not so much the tasks, but when Sisu does their onboarding, they applied a bunch of tags so that as we're working in Sierra and somebody's going under contract or needs to, because it'll start tracking like appointments set, when they were added to the database, when they sign their contract, when they go under contract close, all of that stuff. You can apply tags in Sierra that will then update Sisu automatically. So they do speak to each other, but it's not like we would go into Sierra and see all the detailed tasks and comments like we would through Sisu.
Okay, because Follow Up Boss would allow us to do that. I wonder if we could still use tags that would communicate and still update it, because they work, they're pretty much in sync right now. If we put in a deal inside of Follow Up Boss, it'll come inside of Sisu, but we've only worked in that range of things, not necessarily like the tasks and such. So I wonder.
Yeah, I can't speak to Follow Up Boss, but Sisu is so user friendly, and you can decide what view and reports are best for you, but you can slice and dice it, so it doesn't matter. You like one view, Shannon likes another.
Yeah.
It's all the same data in the preferred manner that you want to see it.
Any questions for Shannon?
How long have you guys been using Sisu?
This point, going on 2.5 years.
Guys, good?
I'm gonna show you,
Thank
are you still
Okay.
screen sharing? Yeah.
On this
Okay.
one.
I'm gonna show you one more view that I like too, for at least the agents. And you can.
Monica's like, you can show me as much as you want to show me.
So I completely created this dashboard, so you can make it whatever you want. But this is also just a really nice high level overview of what buyers people might be working with. If they're active, if they're under contract, coming soon, if they've got a set appointment, so we know we need to prep them for it. Like I said, there's just a lot of different reports that CC allows you to run and look at, so that you're not missing anything.
Ashley, I know that you're using Brivity, which is a little bit different. So how do you guys manage your dates and deadlines in Brivity? What does it look like?
So, typically, as far as like dates and deadlines, when we get a contract in, my VA goes to the team calendar. We have a team Google Calendar, which all the agents can access also. And then she puts all the deadline dates in there too. So like if the agents have a question like, hey, when's the inspection date on for my buyers? Like it's just right there in the team calendar, so they can access that at any time. We put all of our deadline dates, all of our closing dates. We put even like live dates for listings, you know, we've got a listing going live on such and such a date, you know, so it's helpful because they're able to look at that and kind of know what's happening before they have to like send an email or, you know, come in and ask a question or something like that. It's all right there for them. And so the agents seem to really like that. And as far as like Brivity, the way you can set up we have plans set up in Brivity for each circumstance. You know, a listing goes under contract with a cash buyer. There's a certain list of tasks. And in Brivity, I like it because you can change like dates to fit the timeline of the contract. And so that's helpful also because, you know, sometimes obviously the one of the tasks is going to be escrow deposit receipt, right? Typically I have that set to come on like, you know, day 2 or 3, but sometimes you have a contract where it's, you know, 5 days for escrow, you know, so you're able to change the dates to match the timelines of the contract, which I think is really helpful also. So you're not like overrun with all of these tasks to do and you're like, wait, but you know, for us.
So do you have, like Aaliyah and Shannon were showing us like one place you could go to see everything, right? Ashley, do you have like one place that you can go to see all the dates and deadlines in Brivity?
We keep those in the team calendar.
Okay, so so you're manually putting all those into the team calendar.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you doing something like Aaliyah where they're changing colors?
I think Jamie's my backer. I think she has her own color coding system. I don't worry. She just color codes it herself. I let her manage that. But they don't change colors. Like Aaliyah said, like if you go from one set, mine don't change colors. She's like, you know, inspection deadline might be, you know, red or, you know, she's got color codes like that, but it doesn't change colors.
Yeah,
That's what
I guess that's what I was more leaning towards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then can you go somewhere and see like, hey, we haven't worked through these yet, but these have all been, like these would be green because we've done them all. And these are red because they're upcoming. So you just trust that in Brivity as you check them off, that it's truly done.
Right. And then, you know, I'm doing an end of day report to the agents. Jamie's doing an end of day report. So they're seeing, you know, what's being done each day.
So that's kind of your checks and balances is the end of day report. So if you guys
Right.
are
And
checking
if
it off.
they, and if they have a question or if they see something, you know, they can just say, hey, what about this or whatever. But I mean, that seems to work out good for our team that way.
See how interesting it is that everybody has like their own system. I just always find this fascinating because there's no two teams that operate the same. Even both of you using Sisu, right? One's Follow Up Boss and one's Sierra. So it's like you have two different CRMs that are communicating with Sisu. So Monica, what are you guys doing on your end right now? And I know you guys are in the process of still building out your systems, and what are you doing that's working really well? And then maybe where do you have some challenges?
So we are actually, like you said, we're working with two new CRMs and tracking methods. We were using Brivity. So Brivity was like an all-in-one way that we were able to visually see things, as well as be able to see tasks, see the checklists on each person's task. We can see what was overdue, what was upcoming, and so forth. So we're trying to get these two new systems to imitate that same process, with also their robustness of what they offer as well. So in the meantime, and during those transitions, we did utilize a lot of Google Sheets. So we have a particular Google Sheet called Property Closings. Our TC, Rosa Sella, she will actually add to that every time a property goes under closing. So we can actually see what's happening from, you know, what type of property it is, when it's closing, is it clear to close, the lock boxes, everything all in one stream. And then we share that spreadsheet amongst the agents as well as the members of the team that would utilize it, like our assistant, me, of course, as the director of operations. Our Rainmaker, of course, has an access to see it as well. With Follow Up Boss is really great for the agents because, and we're trying to almost have that as like our hub or our main functional connection or collaborative location for everything. Therefore, we're able to add new contacts. We're able to see the entire history of everything that's going on, including emails. As I said, text, we can automate. So we're right now putting in all of our automations or our actions that are in there for emails and texts that are going to go out. For the transactional aspect of it, we are now adding deals in that are a link that once you click on that link, it'll take you straight into Sisu so they can see the entire transaction overview. And then we're moving them through those stages. So the same as what Shannon was showing on her screen there. So they're moving through those stages. We just haven't built it out as far as they have it there. And we weren't utilizing the tasks within Sisu. So we're using the tasks a part of Follow Up Boss. But in the past, everything was held in one location, is why we were planning on having it as that type of entity. Because as Brivity had done, they did a great job of keeping everything right there, from the documents, the file uploads, when things were due, we would check it off. It would send out the emails. It would give the customer an update on showing time that we use. So it would show what's happening with everything. So we could all look in one spot, agents and admin, to see everything at one time.
That's a good point. With Sisu, you can upload the docs into Sisu, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
Aaliyah, if your agents want to see their documents, right, where do you guys keep them, that if they're like, oh, I need a copy of such and such, they could jump in and get them?
So our documents we upload into Command. We use KW Command for that, and that's how we know if we're missing anything, because compliance wise we can't get our DA without it. But otherwise we just house all of our documents in CTME, which is our contracts database. Like it's the same as Dotloop and I don't know, whatever
DocuSign.
else. Yeah. So that's where, if agents ever need any paper documents, it's all in CTME, and then we just do deadlines in our spreadsheet.
Ours is also inside of KW Command, because of course that's where we have to do our opportunities. So it makes it easy. So we have multiple places.
Yeah, those are our top 4 things, because the CTE is similar to Command. Like we have to put our commission totals and everything into Command. But when my Rainmaker is like, what's our P&L? How much have I made? How much has this agent made? Command doesn't really have that capability yet. So that's what we use CTE for, is like to really drill into like the fun numbers of it.
And Sisu will track the number part, Aaliyah, that CTE does. That's actually how Sisu started, was a CTE version. It's just grown bigger than that.
Yep, and not my Rainmaker, but someone else in our brokerage wanted to start Sisu. So he had me get on trainings and I met with the person and we were like working to start transitioning everything. And he missed so many of them. And eventually he was just like, never mind, I don't have the time to figure that all out. And I was like, okay, because I want to stick with what I know. So we almost went to Sisu, but I was like, dude, if you're not going to do this, I'm not doing it. So we just kept it as is.
So Monica, what challenges are you guys finding?
So right now, there's really no challenge. It's just sticking with what we're going to use and then just following through with it. So I'm open to whatever software or whatever that we're going to use. Rosa is also really quick and on board, catches on super fast if she had an IT background as well. So we're just trying to finalize what it is that we're using and then use it to its ability. So right now it's just, we just had that switch of saying we're going to stick with Sisu. So we're just going to, use it as best as we can and get as much as we can out of it. We're just linking the two, which is of course where we were originally trying to link between Follow Boss and Sisu, just so that we don't have redundancy. And we're pretty much syncing it now, and it's in a good spot. We did have a couple challenges before, which was making sure that the commissions and the splits between the agents were in line, but support with Sisu, the gentleman that we're working with, he did a great job of just making sure that worked out for us. So I guess if anything, thinking about a bit later on it, just reporting is what I'm just looking forward to. So we haven't quite gotten to that spot yet, and I'm just looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's the end result that we all want, right? Once we get all the data in there, it's like, how can we get all the reporting out?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Mary, I don't know if you want to share it all. You're welcome to.
We also use Sisu, pretty much to the same capability. We use the tasks. We also manually enter everything into the calendar, and I can kind of show you what that looks like if you want to see that.
Yeah, definitely.
So, can you see the calendar?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So whenever we schedule inspections, it gets thrown on to our personal calendar, and then we also have a team TC email that we use, and it gets thrown on there as well. Same for photos for listings, inspection deadlines, and every agent gets added to everything. We also do weekly file updates, which is why that is on my calendar as well. So we pretty much utilize the same systems. The only thing we do differently, and I know you were asking about like, where can you see everything? This is where we have everything. It's called our virtual whiteboard. This is every under contract, and we were using this before Sisu. We launched Sisu in about January of this year. So this will eventually be going away. For now, we're kind of doing double. And our agents also have access to the virtual whiteboard, limited access. They can't edit anything, but they can see everything. It's got dates as far as when it went under contract, when it closed, sales price, concessions, home warranties, whenever those are scheduled, whenever defects are due to seller, appraisal, compliance, it's commissions, it's got everything on here.
I'm always
That's a
so
little bit.
I'm always so impressed when I see these spreadsheets because it's amazing what we can create. Yeah.
This would be my boss. Sam Davis built this out.
Yep. And more we're headed towards these softwares that do it all for us. Yeah. Any questions you guys have for the groups? I appreciate everybody sharing today. This has been great.
Paul, I know this is near and dear to your heart, but I'm getting closer to trying to get us, at least for Shannon, because she's doing listings and contract to close, the add-on of Boomerang into Gmail. So I don't know if anybody else is using that and what they like or maybe don't like about it, or if they're using a different similar software to it. But it's spring market and we just have so many moving pieces where we are definitely not dropping the ball, but we need a little extra automation to keep some of the smaller details in front of us with so many other bigger things moving.
I'm sorry, what was the very first part of what you were saying? You were looking for?
It's called Boomerang. It's a extension for Gmail, to help with reminders and bringing emails that people may not have responded to back to the top of your inbox. So I don't know if anybody else is using software that's similar to it or Boomerang itself, but just was curious if anybody else was.
Ashley, I know you use Boomerang. Are you using it specifically around this?
Not specifically. I use it on occasion. My VA kind of just watches over and, she knows when deadlines are and she's sending out like a reminder email, like, hey, we sent you this addendum yesterday. What's the update? What's the status? That kind of thing. So she's kind of my second set of eyes on that.
Yeah.
So remember that leverages people, systems, and tools. And one of the tools that when I was doing TC work that became invaluable to me was Boomerang, because you can schedule emails to go out at certain times. You can also set reminders. So like, let's say I send an addendum to somebody at 9 in the morning and I wanted to make sure before I left for the day that I had it back signed. Well, I could set a reminder for 3 in the afternoon for it to pop up and say, hey, this wasn't responded to. So Boomerang was that tool that helped me leverage myself, right? I could increase my bandwidth because I wouldn't have to remember so many things.
And Paul, for you, you didn't have, like, Ashley's got a second set of eyes, and I think we're
Yes,
probably more
exactly.
similar, where if we had another person looking over stuff, it would get caught, but with Shannon doing it all, again, we're not dropping the ball, but those little items, like the email that we were waiting for somebody to confirm final walkthrough or something, could get missed until the next day, and it'd be nice to just have that extra little reminder at the end of the day.
Yeah. And it's literally, as you're sending the email, a press of the button, right? To remind you, it's not extra work. So was super easy and worked really well for me. In fact, I still use Boomerang. Not at the level I ever used to, yet there are several things I still use Boomerang for. Which this is a great topic all in itself, right? What are you doing to increase your bandwidth? Like, what tools do you guys use that actually help you do more? Like when you think about it.
Automation, checklists, automation, all of those kind of things are there. So if it automatically generates it, we know that once it goes under this particular step in the process, that it's going to send out those emails, those texts, and it gives us the reminder. So we definitely relied on that when we were using Brevity. So we're very close to launching it in Follow Up Boss right now for ours.
Yeah, when you look at these softwares like Sisu, right, or Brevity, it's amazing the bandwidth it gives you so that you can manage so many more transactions than you could 10 years ago when everything was still paper. Now, other great softwares or tools that you guys are using that we haven't talked about today? And Mary on this. Mary has one that she just brought up to me called Notion, and I have no idea what it is, but she swears by it. Have any of you heard of Notion? I don't know what it does. All right, what topic do you want to talk about next month? And do we want it to be listings or transactions?
Does anyone use Showing Time?
We do.
Yeah, when we make listings live, yeah.
Do you use it at its full capacity, or are you just doing it to, once you put the listing up, then you're scheduling or you're setting up the showings to occur and then checking back in? Is there anything extra that you guys do? Like, do you send out emails? Are you using anything with market in a minute type of reporting? Or is it?
We send out a listing activity report to the sellers every week, every Sunday. So it sends them an automated email, just letting them know all of the showings that have come through that week. And then if there's any feedback or anything, we do our marketing as separately though.
That's pretty much what we do. I was just wondering if anyone was using it a little bit further, because they said there's more that's that it offers, but I've never touched base on that.
I'd say in terms of extras that it offers, we don't go too broad with it, because I know there are some extra reports you can purchase, but some of the free reports have been good for certain clients to show like, hey, because some of the reports you can look in a town and see single family homes from 500 to 600,000, how many showings they're getting. So sometimes that data can be helpful to share with clients. So we'll use those reports, or for different holidays, it'll stack like year over year, the historic trends of when showings are high and low. So those reports can be good as well. But aside from setting up the showings, like adding the listing packet and using it for that capacity and like summary reports, not too much extra. If we have an offer deadline, we'll use the notifications to catch anybody who had a private showing booked. But we will also text them directly as well.